And we live, baby. Welcome to the
Yeah.
According to Sources podcast. I am your host, Andre Williams. Today I'm joined by Chris. No, Chris is not here. I'm sorry. It's late. I'm tired. I'm here, joined by Devin. Devin, say hello to the people.
Greetings, salutations.
Rob, say hello to the people.
What up? What up?
Chris may be joining in. He may not. I don't know. You know how young people are. But
I hope Chris
already
ain't in the
holding-
sunken place.
Oh, wow.
I doubt it.
You a fool for that. But you know how young people are. But we were already holding this conversation. We're going to jump right back into it. We were holding the conversation. LeVar Ball was on the herd, right? It was a herd. You know, I don't know.
Possibly. I don't know. No, nobody watches Fox. Who the
Nobody
hell
watches
knows?
Fox. I mean, they
He was
probably
on
get as many
Fox.
viewers as us.
He was on. Hey-oh.
Yeah, he was on Fox. So he was on Fox, and he was holding a conversation with Colin Cowherd and Kristen Leahy. Well, not really with Kristen Leahy. We'll get into that later. He was holding a conversation with Colin Cowherd, and he made the comment about Jason Whitlock and
Yes.
about how the only thing he would consult him with is about snacks or something like that. And you know, one of the greatest quotes
of all time.
they laughed at it a little bit, and you know, but then the real conversation started. I don't know if anybody had watched before. Kristen Leahy had made a couple comments about, you know, she basically stopped short of saying that LeVar Ball was an abusive father. That not necessarily hitting them, maybe, but you know, verbal abuse, mental abuse, psychological abuse, things of that nature. And he wasn't really having it from the get-go. He wasn't talking to her. And of course, you know, one thing led to another, and you know, she was saying something, and in the midst of the conversation, he was like, you know, you're a hater, you know, and if you coming at me, well, you know, something's gonna be coming back at you. And of course, she went straight to the victim role. You know, are you threatening me? Okay, we all saw the interview. Since Devin, since you have a finite amount of time, I'm gonna let you go first. What did you think of that interview, and was he threatening her?
I think, dude, you know the first thing I thought of? I thought about when Richard Sherman deflected that pass in the NFC Championship a few years ago when the Seahawks went to their first Super Bowl, and he had that interview with Aaron Andrews afterwards. And the whole country, well, at least the right side of the country, they thought they just made Aaron Andrews look like the victim, like she was a helpless 5-year-old and Richard Sherman was the predator or some shit. I thought it was literally the exact same thing.
Braids.
She was playing she was trying to play the victim, like, oh, are you threatening me? Are you talking to me like that? No, nothing that he said was threatening or demeaning. He just said, I'm not talking to you. I have nothing to say to you. Don't even say nothing to me.
What do you think about the stay in your lane line? He didn't say stay in your place, because that could be, you know, taken as a bit sexy.
And I think he meant to say that on purpose too.
He did mean to say it on purpose. That's why he said
it just like that too, because he made sure that word placement was perfect. And that to me is demeaning. To be honest, I would have been like, you know, this guy's the host of the show. You just some backdrop. You Andy Richter on Conan. I don't get to talk to you.
That's basically what I mean, that's pretty much what happened. He basically told her, I'm not going to sit here and he didn't say it in so many words, but you could tell, you know, as a father, if I heard someone say the things about me that she said about him, I would be doing the same things. I'm not going to talk to you. You don't get to talk to me because of the way that you spoke about me before I was on the show. And now you want to ask me questions like we're buddy, but that's not the way that it goes. You don't get to talk down on my name and bring me on the show and we get to talk to each other like it never happened. Rob, what you think?
I agree with everything y'all just said. I mean, it's like we were saying before we came on. It's like you can't have it both ways. Like you can't want to be able to criticize me personally. Like you took it personal. You took it personal. You didn't criticize the fact that I'm charging, you know, $500 for my shoes and $200 for some flip flops. You didn't talk about that. What you decided to talk about was what in your perception, in your mind, because you have no proof of this. You're not a psychologist. You're not certified or certified therapist. You're not any of those things. So who are you to have a discussion on believe my kids are, and what they think and what they're being forced to do. You have no say so on that. You can't say you can and get all smart alecky about what you think you have my kids are doing, but then want to have me on my show and my shoes. No,
Hey, I
because
agree.
before I was owning my shoes, you were talking about the treatment of how I'm treating my kids, and I'm basically mentally abusing my kids.
It was a wild conversation to say the least.
So I just think that I was cool, looking back on it, with him saying, stay in your lane, stay in your lane, report on sports or the business side of stuff. Try to then all of these other journalists and all these other want to take it to the place they always take it to, and this journalistic integrity part or whatever.
Oh
Then
no,
like
no,
okay, let's not take it because y'all, when stuff y'all can't take it, so don't take it personal with me.
you kind of. I don't know. The audio was really bad. Did you hear him, Devin, or was it just me?
No, okay, then I thought that was my phone. Like that shit was. It sounded like Rob was drowning.
Yeah, it was crazy. I will.
Oh no.
Rob
But
basically just said the exact same thing that we just said.
yeah,
Um,
more so to the light of like you can't pick and choose the route that you want to take, and then try to play the victim when you don't get the right answer.
yeah,
Essentially.
and you don't get to decide whether or not I'm going to speak to you or not just because I'm on this show. The show is called The Herd because of Colin Cowherd, who's a dick, by the way.
Yep.
He's a dick, and we're going to talk about him later on too. But I don't know why she took it to that point, to that extent, so quickly. Nobody in their right mind would have come to the conclusion that he was threatening her with anything by saying it's coming back to you.
What are you
You got
trying to do?
something coming your way.
Mhm.
There's a reason why you have something coming your way. You have something coming your way because you don't know how to be respectful. I don't think he was calling her a hater because she didn't buy the shoe. He was calling her a hater because she's a goddamn hater who doesn't know what she's talking about. You need to keep somebody's family situation out of your mouth if
Yep.
you're not intimately in connection with what's going on in that family. Neither one of those boys seem like they are a problem, like they're malnourished, like they're physically abused, mentally abused, psychologically abused. None of them seem like that. They all seem like really good kids for the most part. I have never heard one bad thing about any of them, and I don't understand why we got to that point really quickly with her, where she's talking about him being a bad father and them being scared, and then she's not realizing why he would not want to talk to her. I don't even understand. Like even people who don't have kids should understand why he did not want to hold a conversation with her. And she seemed like it was out of the realm of possibility that he would come on that show and give her the cold shoulder. Like, oh my God, why isn't he speaking to me? I'm Kristen Leahy. I'm blind. Get out of here. Like, be real. If you disrespect the man's family, he's going to disrespect you right back. Like, that's just plain and simple. And if you can't get with that, I can't get with you.
Straight up. And it's not like any of them like exhibit some type of abusive behavior. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like LaMelo, Lonzo, or I always forget the middle one's name.
Leanne,
But it's
isn't it? Is
some,
is Angelo
it,
Mello?
that's Leangelo, that's his name.
Yeah,
But it's not like any of them exhibit abusive behavior. Like they're always just like they're in their own zone. See, I think that she tried to play that victim role, and also try to say that about his son. And I think a lot of people are going to try to do it with Lonzo because he's not like his dad. He's very reserved.
Quiet.
He's very
they say
quiet.
he's shy. He's a shy guy, a shy kid who doesn't really like being in front of the camera. So if you see him acting awkward in front of the camera, it's not because somebody is abusing him. It's because he just doesn't feel comfortable there.
Straight up, he's an introvert. Like, that's not his style.
A lot of kids are like that. But another thing that Kristen Leahy said that was really stupid is like she was saying like, why does all three of his sons want to play basketball? Like, what the fuck are you talking? Archie Manning had like 90 boys and they all played quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, nobody ever questioned whether or not he was forcing his boys to play quarterback. And I'll guarantee you, neither did Kristen Leahy. She didn't think any of them had any mental problems, even though one of them was sexually harassing a woman in a locker room. Okay, and the other one looks like Forrest Gump. We're not going to talk about any of that, right? We're not talking about that, but we're going to talk about the Ball boys. I don't even like. I'm not a fan of LeVar Ball, the TV personality. But as a businessman, I have no issue with what he's doing so long as his sons are okay with it. If any of them would have ever come out and said, we really don't want this to be how we live our lives, and he forced them into it, that'd be a different thing. But I don't think any of them have ever said that, and I don't think that's what's going on. She was completely in the wrong, and it's crazy that people don't think so. They think that somehow he disrespected her by completely omitting the fact that he was disrespected first, and she never once apologized for doing so.
You know what? A lot of it too is because he didn't express himself in the way that he. I mean, I get it, but I think if he would have more eloquently went on there and said, "Hey, listen, I have an issue with you. So I'm on your show right now, so now I have an issue with you."
But I hate that you have to do that.
I get it. I know.
Easily recognizable what's going on here.
I get it, but
recognizable.
But it's not though, because that's not what happened, and he only made it worse by addressing her the way he did. I get why he did. I'm completely 100% behind him on why he did. But if we're just talking about perception and how other people are going to perceive it, especially with so many people being journalists being in that world ready to jump to her defense, considering who she is and how she looks, what probably would have went over, better would have been, hey, look, listen, you get up here and you talk about how I treat my kids, and none of that could be, further from the truth.
That would have been better, but I don't think it would have been authentic. He did not want to talk to her.
No, of course not. No, it wouldn't have, because that's not who he is.
He didn't want to talk to her, and at no point did he disrespect her by not talking to her.
If he would have talked to her, it would have been a surprise.
He just made himself look like an asshole, to be honest, though.
I mean, that's fine. He is an asshole. Everything he does is being an asshole.
It's asshole-ish.
So I don't think he has a problem with that. But people who think that being an asshole means he disrespected her are stupid. No, the two things have nothing to do with one another. And
he definitely didn't. He didn't do anything to her that hadn't already been done to him, to be honest.
Yeah,
by her at least.
She put herself in a position to not be spoken to. She did that.
Yep.
If you keep the family stuff out of this and just keep it to the business aspect and the boys playing basketball, that would have been fine. But she brought an entirely different family subset of issues into this conversation, and it opened herself up to be quote unquote disrespected. That was her fault.
It's one thing to say I hate that he's taken so much of the shine away from his son, and so much attention has been on him, and his name is out there so much more that, or just as much as his son. And I hate that it's like that. I feel like he's putting his son behind the 8 ball, because he has to come into the league and play against these dudes, play against them and play with them. Like you're creating a possibly toxic atmosphere for your son when he gets in, and that's different. But to say that you feel like he's forcing his sons to do something is irresponsible. It's irresponsible and lazy.
Is irresponsible as all hell. And that is the problem. Not that he didn't look at her, not that he didn't talk to her. The problem is that she opened up a set of worms and talked about him in a way that it brings into question his ability to be a parent. And that is completely, it's first of all, it's wrong. Second of all, it's stupid. We're not here as journalists to talk about or podcasters or bloggers. We're not here to talk about anybody's ability to be a parent. We're not here to talk about anybody's ability to be a father or a husband or a wife or any of that. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to talk about the stuff on the court and the things surrounding it.
Exactly. Like, what fucking school does she attend to make an observation like that and then say it out loud? Like, oh no, it definitely looks like he abuses his kid. Like, you don't know what the fuck you talking about. And like, Dre, you said it earlier, like, not only should people be offended by that, what she said, it should be more offended by what she said than what LeVar said. But if you're a parent, you should be really offended because you don't know what the fuck I do in my house. If anything, I'm building a better future for my children by doing what I'm doing. And he said it numerous times. I'm like this to take the shine off of them so they feel more comfortable and they feel more, you know, to themselves. Because obviously you have somebody like Lonzo, he don't need no more damn attention. That's why his dad does it all for him. And I like that about him. But obviously LeVar can still be a dumbass. But like, how offensive is that? He can be more in the right.
The problem with what you said, Devin, is that a large portion of people, even non-sports people, feel the same way she does.
Man,
that's a part of the problem, is that a lot of people feel the same way she does, with no proof of anything or no knowledge of what conversations that man has had with his kids for 18, 17, 15 years or whatever, however long how old his kids are. You don't know what conversations he's had with his kids. So you can't jump to any conclusion on how these kids are feeling and how you believe they are. Like, that's irresponsible.
Sure you can. This is Trump's America. We were talking about what did I say I wanted to jump to? God damn it, I'm getting old, man. I said I want to jump to somebody.
Playoffs?
No, we were in the middle of.
You want to talk about what he said about Whitlock, right?
No. I said we'll get to that.
About Colin? About Colin?
No, man, I'm so fucking old. You don't make no goddamn sense. I can't remember anything I want to do from one sentence to the next. But I guess we can go ahead and talk about it. Have you guys been watching the playoffs? I haven't.
Not really.
Hell no. For what?
It's been boring as hell, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is as bad as I've ever seen it.
Yeah, man, it's been pretty boring.
I mean, just one blowout after another. It's like, and then for a split second, we thought we might have had something with San Antonio and the Warriors, and then Kawhi goes down. It's like, all right, well, that was over with too now.
That's over with. So Kawhi got hurt on the eastern side. Lowry got hurt. Rondo got hurt.
This all just makes me believe that the fix might be in for the finals for it to go 7 games again. Because
I
they
don't
need to
think
make that money somehow.
I mean, the money has been made already. They couldn't possibly care any less. If it goes 6 or 7 games, they've gotten paid. But I think it just goes to show how fragile anybody's season is. I mean, it can end like that. I mean, all it takes is one injury. But I'm with Rob. I cannot recall the playoffs being so bad, like to the point where, okay, when the playoffs started, like, man, I can't wait for the playoffs. And I think every game on the first day of the playoffs was like, like a 15 or 10 to 15 point win by whoever
Yeah.
won the game, and I'm like, man, it wasn't one suspenseful game. Well, no, that Pacers Indiana was good. That was a good game. Not Pacers Cleveland was a good game.
Yeah.
But I think the Bulls beat Boston by about 10. That game, Rondo ended up going off, and every game was just a blowout. And I'm trying to figure out like what's the problem. And I think we know that there's too many teams in the playoffs first, and there's too many teams in the NBA. But now they're talking about adding more teams. They're just going to drown the talent pool. The talent pool is going to be watered down even more so than it is now. So when you go to the playoffs, you're going to have maybe instead of DeMar and Lowry on the same team, it's going to be DeMar on one team, Lowry on another team. And like even worse teams in the playoffs, teams getting in with 30 wins, like all kinds of crazy nonsense going on in the NBA. I mean, I'm trying to figure out oh God. I'm trying to figure out what the problem is. Devin, what is the okay, Rob, what is the problem? Devin is still talking to people at the airport. What's the problem with the NBA right now? I'm trying to figure it out.
It's first of all, I'm not going to go into this shit again about the weak East. That's not what the issue is.
I mean, that's part of the problem. Part of the problem is that most of the talent in the NBA is on the West Coast. And I don't blame them going to the West Coast because it's nice on the West Coast. I'm going to the West Coast as soon as I can.
I think it has a lot to do with sorry, man. I think it has a lot to do with the style of play that the East Coast has adapted to now.
Okay. You want to elaborate on that, sir?
So if you look like Budenholzer, he went over to Atlanta. Atlanta might be the damn Spurs of the Eastern Conference.
With absolutely no talent. But sure.
They are incredibly boring to watch. They are just.
But the Spurs aren't boring to watch, though. They haven't been boring to watch for years.
Please. You're crazy.
The Spurs run some of when they were playing the Miami Heat in the finals, their offense was
that was
immaculate.
ridiculous. I never seen that.
Absolutely immaculate. And the only reason why they lost that first time to Miami is because Tony Parker got hurt.
Are you crazy?
He was busting they ass, man. He was busting their ass. And he
won game one for them. I do remember that.
No, he won the games that they won. He won for them. He was busting their ass. They had nobody that could guard him. And then what did he do? Did he sprain his ankle, or was it a hamstring or something? A groin?
I don't know.
I don't remember what it was. But he ended up, whatever it was. As soon as he got hurt, Miami basically took over the series. That was it. You put Mario Chalmers on goddamn anybody.
That's right.
Or
That's
Norris
right. LeBron
Cole.
kept cursing him out.
Mario Chalmers.
Mario Chalmers on TP in his prime.
Mario Chalmers should not have arms.
That boy put him in the spin cycle.
Touch the basketball.
His jersey came out of the game cleaner than it was when he went in it. That's how many times his ass spun cycled his ass.
I'm sorry, I can't hear Mario Chalmers without hearing that Jay Farrell cut.
Mario Chalmers.
Mario Chalmers.
Oh my!
Should not have arms.
But I'm serious. I think it's the East, like their style of play. Like it's just boring. Like.
Okay, what about Milwaukee?
It's not like there isn't superstars in the East. You got, the Greek Freak, Giannis. You got,
but he's still just coming on. The Greek Freak is really just coming on, so we can't just throw him in there. Like this is his first season of being really, really good. So he's here now, but he wasn't here before, and he still didn't get out of the first round. And we do have the Pacers, but they were the 7th seed. With a quote unquote superstar. So how super was he really? He wasn't really that super. Like he's just a good basketball player. Like the Eastern Conference has a lot of good basketball players that we have to call superstars, because if we don't, then what the hell do we got in the Eastern Conference? We got LeBron. Okay, honestly, Devin. Besides Melo, besides D-Wade, besides LeBron, who in the Eastern Conference is a surefire Hall of Fame?
Oh, shit. Rob, talk while I think.
You just gotta absolutely like that. Like if we go to the Western Conference, Stephen Curry, Hall of Famer. Kevin Durant, Hall of Famer.
Jason Kidd.
Jason Kidd is the coach. But I'm saying, okay, and I give you Melo, but Melo didn't make the playoffs, so Melo doesn't really count. But we're
Melo
talking
ain't no
about,
superstar.
you know, guys that are in the playoffs that you're like, that dude's a Hall of Famer. And I don't give a damn what nobody says. You can look all over the Western Conference. You don't even got to really think about it. You know, guys, these guys are Hall of Famers, and Kawhi Leonard is going to be a Hall of Famer. James Harden, no matter how many people dislike him, that boy's going to be a Hall of Famer. KD, Hall of Famer. Steph, Hall of Famer. CP3, Hall of Famer. Like, these are people that's going to be Hall of Fame. Like, even if their careers ended right now, they're going to be in the Hall of Fame. You can look over there in the Eastern Conference
DeMar
Finals.
DeRozan.
Boy, I beat the shit out of you.
Oh, I can't stand this corny ass game.
Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Buckets. Jimmy Buckets is a Hall of Famer. I mean, come on. That's the problem. We have a lot of people in the Eastern Conference that we have to call superstars when they're really just good basketball players. That's all they are. That's why
we've been talking about that for months, especially about Jimmy Butler, with all these Jimmy Butler apologists that want to call him a superstar.
Who was it?
Dude,
on
2K, they don't even call him that. And 2K usually be accurate with they labels.
Was it Windhurst or was it Habistro who said that you don't trade Jimmy Butler unless it's for Kevin Durant or Stephen Curry or somebody
must
like
be
that?
Out his damn man.
You don't trade him for a first-round draft pick. Like, boy, you don't go drunk self up out of
on that show though, Colin Cowherd actually did. It was before LeVar came on. He was talking about the reason. He said the reason why Boston isn't making this competitive right now is because they didn't pull the trigger on Jimmy Butler.
That's the reason why. Because Jimmy can't be the guy. He has to be one of the guys. Like, it could be competitive. They would still lose the series, but they're going to get swept. We were talking to people. I was talking to people for hours before the game. Like, even the day before, like the day that that Boston beat Washington, who I think would have given Cleveland a much better series.
Oh, way better. John Wall's going to be a Hall of Famer. There you go.
And I answered it. Okay. If his
What
career ended right now, I wouldn't say John Wall was a Hall of Famer.
You turned it into Colin Cowherd or something?
That's who I wanted to talk about. It was Colin Cowherd. You were right, Rob. We were going to talk about that John Wall stuff. But if his career ended right now, no, he's not a Hall of Famer. He's not.
No.
He's not.
No.
He's not.
What has he done? Oh, Devin, what has he done?
He got hurt. I give you
a lot.
Hey, you know what? Fuck it. He ain't no Hall of Famer. Y'all can have it.
How many All-Star games has he gone to? Because I know that the minimum is 7.
I want to say you have to go to a minimum of 7. You have to be an All-Star 7 times.
Nobody who's had 7 All-Star appearances has not gone to the Hall of Fame.
No, he's not a Hall of Famer.
Okay, there you go.
You should have said that.
But yeah, I think that's the problem. And like I said, I don't have a problem. I understand it. Women, weed, and weather. I understand it. Kendrick, I love you, bro. That was a perfect analogy for being on the West Coast. You want to be over there with that nice weather, nice women. You know what I'm saying? You get you get your car, your top is down, you get the cruise. You know, it's pretty women out there all the time. I understand it, but it is definitely affecting. I mean, and now, you know, people would say that it was the same way when Jordan was in the East, but I don't think so, because you had like Patrick Ewing, Reggie Miller. For a time, Charles was over there. You know, there was teams over there that even though the Bulls were beating them, they were good teams. I don't even know a good team. Like, honestly, the second we saw that Boston was going to be playing the Cavaliers, I immediately said, "Oh, this is a sweep. They're going to sweep them." They don't have, because their best player is a little person. Like,
Okay, we'll start checking.
I'm happy you said it that way instead of saying what you really wanted to say.
He's a little person. And I've always felt like the best player on your team cannot be below 6'3".
So prejudice. He's so prejudiced.
Name a team that's been led by a 5'9" dude to the finals and won.
Well, I'd like to point out that nigga ain't no 5'9". I'm 5'6". I see IT in person, and he needs to stop lying. Just like Floyd Mayweather, just like Manny Pacquiao, they need to stop.
I tell people I'm 6'1".
Oh my God, I would love it. I would love it. On 2K, I'm 6'8".
I'm 6 feet tall, but I tell people I'm 6'1" all the time. Oh, and 2K, I'm 6'10", baby, all day. I'm a 6'10" point forward. I got a 6'10" athletic finisher. I got a 6'9" sharp shooting power forward, stretch big. Well, I'm 6'9", 6'10" every day. But you cannot have a guy that short be your best basketball player. It's impossible.
It's crazy because 2 years ago they were pretty competitive with them. I don't understand.
But didn't they lose 4-1?
What was it, 4-1 or was it 4-2? I can't remember.
You talking about the series where they were just like beating the hell out of everybody, like every game?
Yeah, when they pulled Kevin Love's
Love's
shoulder out.
arm out of his Kelly Olynyk pulled his shoulder out of its socket. Yeah, when they were just doing WWF wrestling tactics the entire series. Yeah, that one was competitive, but I think they may have only won one game this series. Don't think they got more than that.
Definitely don't see the East changing anytime soon because
nobody's going to the East.
Because this man Paul George, because I was reading something today. Am I losing my mind or did I read that correctly? That they talk about trading Paul George to the Lakers for D'Angelo Russell and picks.
Nope. You want to know why? Because the Lakers have been told that they have a really good chance of getting him in 2018, no matter who he gets traded to.
De'Aaron Fox is gonna be the best player out the draft. Y'all watch what I tell you.
I think the Celtics are going to end up drafting Markelle. To be honest with you, because I just think that's the smartest way to go. But De'Aaron might end up being the best player out of that draft. But I think people kind of soured on Lonzo towards the end of that season. But I think Lonzo is going to be really good, especially if he gets to go next to D'Angelo, and they're going to both help each other because Lonzo likes passing the ball and D'Angelo likes shooting.
He loves shooting. He loves catching the ball off the dribble and just shooting. Yeah.
Shooting that boy up. So it's going to be an interesting draft, man. But I did want to talk about Colin Cowherd. Can you tell that chick to shut her ass up? I do want to talk to talk about Colin Cowherd because, you know, he has a really big issue with John Wall, and I'm not exactly sure why he has this problem.
It's almost weird.
It is weird that he has such a huge issue with John Wall, and he has not let it go through all of these years of basketball play. He still goes back to John Wall doing a Dougie. I mean, when was the last time you saw somebody do the Dougie? Why does it matter that he did the Dougie at 18 years old before a basketball game? And now it's carried over. I know I didn't watch, I don't listen to the Herd, so I definitely didn't listen to it after Washington got eliminated because John Wall didn't have a particularly great game, especially that fourth quarter. I think he missed 11 straight shots in that fourth quarter. So I know he had a field day with that. But after John Wall hit that three-pointer to win that game, 6, people lit into Colin Cowherd's ass, man. And it was great.
It was fantastic.
But what is it? What is the thing with Colin Cowherd and John Wall? What is it? Because it seems like he's the only player that he does this for.
I have no idea. He does it to Aaron Rodgers too. It seems like him and Skip have a mutual, like how Skip hates LeBron. That's how Cowherd is with John Wall and Aaron Rodgers. But with John Wall, it has gotten to new levels of pathetic. Like, it is disgusting how much he just dislikes him. Especially when it gets into, like, when John Wall, like this past year, John Wall has had a lot of good games. And like he made it a point.
Awesome season.
He made it a point after every single one of those games to go in and talk about, you know, the pettiest thing, like his plus or minus, like, and what every other point guard is doing that's supposedly on his level. Just like the most pettiest shit. Like, you can't let this man live. Like, you can't just start one show with like, you know what? I've given this guy a lot of shit, but today is the day.
No, that's just one of those things. He's sticking to his guns with it, but I mean, this season he kind of shot himself with that gun. I mean, John Wall he's a top 5 point guard in the league this year. I mean, hell, probably top 3. And when he came in the league, I mean, I can remember I didn't even really like John Wall, but these last couple seasons, John Wall didn't turn me into a John Wall fan. He's hitting that mid-range jump shot. He's hitting threes every now and then, getting to the rim. He's still getting his 10 assists a game, 19 points. He's playing good defense. I don't know how you can not like the kid. I'm trying to, and if it's because he did the Dougie before a basketball game, man, yeah, I don't know. I can't even call it. Can't call that
like
one.
You said, man, it's just sticking to your guns and wanting to continue on with a particular storyline for the sake of his show. There's no way after all these years he could possibly still feel that way. Like that's just continuing the storyline. I think he's having fun with it at this point.
He has to be.
This is fun because I'll get it if he has a dope game. I'll get people that'll tune in to see if I'm going to see anything. If he has a bad game, boom, I can light into his ass and have fun with it. So I'll keep this thing rolling. There's no way he could still dislike him like that.
I really wish they would have beat them. I really do.
I did too.
Because
I thought they were going to
for that purpose.
And I just wanted to see I wanted to see a good series, and they play the Cavaliers much better than that team does
all year long.
Even though Washington's bench is boo-boo, and they would have been overwhelmed by Cleveland's depth. John Wall in and of himself is a problem that Cleveland had no answer for. Nobody on that team could stop him from doing what he wanted to do. He's faster than everybody. I mean, he's faster than everybody. That's just it. He's just faster than everybody. And any one of the guards they put on him, he's either as strong or stronger and bigger. So there's no guard they could put on him. The only person they could try to put on him is LeBron, and you don't really want LeBron going through a million screens every game because that's really all basketball is now. It's just a pick and roll game where your offense is based off of that.
So fucking boring.
Ask the Warriors.
What?
About their screen game.
Yeah, there's a bunch of goddamn screens. That's all the NBA is now, and it does get boring watching just a million screens a game, and then everything based like you go on the screen and then because you're trying to get a corner three, and if you can't get that corner three, you rotate the ball to the weak side, and then run the screen and roll again on the other side, trying to get the three on the other side. It just feels like if you can't get that, then you're dumping the ball down into somebody in the post. Or if you have one of those elite basketball players, they just go one-on-one. Like, that's all the NBA is right now. It's always funny when you look at these guys. Like, one of the things I'll always admit, which is obvious, is that as time goes by, all athletes are bigger, faster, stronger. But I will never say that the game that we watch today is better than the game that I came up watching. I can't say that. This shit bores me like to death sometimes.
Dude, I'm telling you, I turned off the Cavs game the other night before it even got to halftime because I was like, this is an ass whooping, and I've seen too many of them this year in the playoffs. Like, maybe I've had my hues and views of like really good games, but like once you compare the 90s, maybe a little bit of the early 2000s to the game today, oh please, it doesn't compare at all. I'm super impressed with the way players have become more athletic, and like how you were saying, Dre, like the kid is just super fast with John Wall. I actually hate watching John Wall because every time I see that nigga do good, I just be like, damn, that's supposed to be Derek. Every single time, him and Westbrook, man. Every time I see them play, I always say that's supposed to be Derek. But I digress. The game has only changed in a sense of you have really, really good players on the floor, and then you have guys that aren't really, really great. And because of that, the disparity makes it so boring to watch because you're just watching one person just dominate the game.
I guess to a certain extent, it was like that in the '90s and the '80s. I mean, Magic and Bird.
I was gonna say I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was like that then too. Now
I feel like
when you saw Mike, excuse me, it was more so teams that were trying to defend him, building their whole system around him, rather than now. You'll see one or two teams try to do that and they don't succeed. Hence, LeBron, somebody building a super team, fucking Warriors. But with Mike, it was consistent throughout I'm speaking in the sense of the playoffs. Like, it was consistent with teams that made it somewhat competitive, like with the Pacers and the Heat, rather than now, like it's just a breeze through and then you just wait for the final.
Well, the Bulls between 91 and 93 and 96 and 98, they swept I want to say 9 of the 18 series they had. So they were sweeping through the East too. But it did feel like when they did have a series that was real, it was real. Then they went 7 with the Knicks one year. And then they went 7 with the Pacers. They went 7 with the Knicks in the first three-peat. And they went 7 with the Pacers in '98. I want to say they had a good series a couple times with the Knicks, if I'm not mistaken, in the early '90s. Those first two, like 96, 97, I don't think anybody in the East really gave them a problem. But I think they played the Knicks then too, and it was a good series. The Bulls won 4-2 or something like that. It just feels, I don't know. Sometimes it feels like the game is kind of watered down, and I don't enjoy watching it as much. I enjoy watching certain players more than I enjoy watching the game of basketball like I used to. Something about it just feels off. Maybe I wish they could get a little bit more physical, or I don't know. It just feels weird. I
got a feeling that a lot of it is just a down year. I mean, I just feel like because it wasn't too long ago. Was it a year or two ago maybe? Where we had that incredibly crazy first round. It was like everybody was going
my God,
2 or 3 overtimes.
Yeah,
that was like 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
That was like 2 years ago.
That was insane.
Where it was like everybody was going, triple overtime, double overtimes, 6 and 7 games. It was like wow, fight in the first round. So I think the NBA will bounce back, man. We get some of these young superstars in, and hopefully spread it out a little bit. Get some guys over in the East, and I think it'll turn back.
I just think it's about to lose one of their quote unquote superstars. Paul George is out of there. He's gone. He's gone. Shit, Larry Bird looked around and said, "I'm out of here. I'm out of here too. Shit, I'm done with this. Can't do this anymore."
Apparently, Kyle Lowry is out too.
It's gone too. Kyle Lowry is going to be trying to go to the West somewhere, and I don't blame him. How many times can you watch DeMar DeRozan shoot a mid-range fadeaway jump shot over 3 people? You ain't Kobe. They don't love you like that.
Kobe.
So we saw CP3 lose another second round series. And at what point do we give this little dude the proper amount of shit that anyone else would be getting if their name was not CP3?
Why is this always the conversation when it comes to this guy? I don't get it. It's like you said, Dre. Like, why is this always the conversation? We're always fighting against ourselves with when it comes to him. We have to start the conversation off by going, all right. So are we going to say something, or it's like let's just say it. Let's just say it and not even have the conversation where we have to question about not,
okay,
why is it not being said?
I'll say it. Chris Paul is a loser. I said it. He's a loser. I'll say it again. He's a loser. That's 3 times. The problem with Chris Paul is the exact same thing that I said about Isaiah Thomas. He is too short to be the best player on your team. That's it. And at some point, we have to stop saying, well, it's the teams around him. Because when he went to the Clippers, not the year that they, with Vinny Del Negro, because we all know Vinny is awful and he's a terrible coach. When they got Doc, who isn't the greatest coach, but he's not bad, and they were supposed to be good. You remember they had that, what did they win, like 20-some-odd games straight or some nonsense like that where they just weren't losing? Because I think that was the same season Miami had won like 25 games straight, 27 games or whatever it was. The Clippers went on like a long run of winning games. It's like, okay, the Clippers are going to actually do something. And then they didn't again, because that's what Chris Paul does. He makes you think he's going to do something in the playoffs, and he doesn't. Everybody says, look at his numbers in the playoffs, but the only numbers that really matter is the ones in the win and loss column, and he's losing in the second round. He is the only player of his caliber to have never reached at least the conference. He's never even been to a conference finals.
Do you think he'll be better? Do you think he'll be better in San Antonio?
Melo went to the conference finals against the Lakers.
Against Kobe. That's right.
What?
And Kobe bust their ass. But he got there. At least he got there. That was that year, because the year before they had Allen Iverson. They traded Allen Iverson to the Pistons and got Chauncey Billups. And then they went to the Western Conference Finals. And Melo was a bull in that series against the Lakers. It was like Kobe was just too good. I mean, Kobe just took over like games 5 and 6 and put them out.
But that was a year where he did it to Utah and Denver. Dominated
Utah and Denver in those playoffs, and there was nothing they could do. But yeah, when is Chris? I mean, okay, let's say Chris Paul goes to the Spurs next season. Are they better? Or do they lose in the second round like every Chris Paul team does? It's like
no.
You could just like pencil it in. The Chris Paul team is going to win 50 games. They're going to get everybody's hopes up, and they're going to lose in the conference. They're going to lose in the second round. Pencil it in. It happens every year. Fucking Groundhog today. This is what's going to happen. Chris Paul is going to be called the point guard all year long. Look at the assist and his wins above replacement and his win shares, and the efficiency is turned.
Yeah, the
assist to turnover ratio.
Get down there. They're gonna win 60 games.
They're gonna win 60 games, and they're gonna lose in the second round because Chris Paul is what? A loser. Say it with me again, class. Chris Paul is a loser. I mean, because I wrote about this like 3 years ago. Like, when are we gonna stop giving Chris Paul a pass? I wrote about it 3 years ago. I was telling y'all to stop giving him a pass 3 years ago. And here we are 3 years later, and people are still saying, well, Blake got hurt. Well, this happened.
I don't know. Blake
always
is trash
hurt.
too.
Blake always hurt.
He's been hurt since he came in the league.
Since before he came in the league. He missed the whole season because he broke a kneecap. So he's always hurt. But and I understand, he's the only person whose numbers get better in the playoffs. Do more. That's all I can say. Do more. Score more. Rebound more. Assist more. Do more.
He too busy running. I mean, he shrinks in big games, in big moments.
Oh, you're gonna get some hate mail for that. You think so? Chris Paul be coming up. Chris Paul be doing some shit
I ain't talking about Chris Paul. I was talking about Blake.
Oh, Blake's trash. Come on.
He shrinks in big games. Anytime they playing the Warriors, that boy.
Or whenever he sees Zebo. He sees Zebo and I don't want to go to the post. Zebo's down there.
Blake for 3.
Blake for 3. Blake for the 18-footer. He was hitting that shit all game. End of the game. The legs get tired. That 18-footer start dropping a little bit shorter than it was in the first quarter.
I think Blake Griffin is overrated. Mm-hmm. Post game is trash.
He definitely is.
I think Blake Griffin is a like if he was in the Eastern Conference, we'd be calling him a superstar. Like he's one of those guys. He's one of those guys. You
He's
know what
one
I'm
of those
saying?
guys.
Like
He's that second tier.
that second tier of basketball player that we gotta call him a superstar because hell, if we don't call those guys superstars, we only got like three.
Then we don't have any.
We got LeBron, we got or maybe five. LeBron, KD, Steph, Russ, James. I mean, you throw CP3, Melo, Wade in there, but those guys are never gonna win anything again. So or period. So I mean, yeah, they're superstars in name, but in game, not anymore. I mean, not anymore. Especially a guy like Melo and a guy like Dwayne Wade. Like, yeah, we'll call them superstars, but not in game anymore. It's just it's more technical. Like, yeah, Dwayne Wade's a superstar because he's Dwayne Wade. He's a three-time champion. But the years of him being a good basketball player are well behind him.
He showed that shit in the playoffs.
Man, he was hot ass trash.
He showed that he was done.
He was really bad. And I know we like to poop all over Fred Hoiberg, but I didn't have a problem with anything Fred Hoiberg did in that playoff series. And if Rondo was healthy in that playoff series, I don't know if Boston would have got one game. Then inevitably the Bulls would have lost to Washington, and then we would be getting the series that we actually wanted to see, which was Washington against Cleveland. But here we are.
God, the Bulls bench was terrible. Fred Hoiberg was like, you know what, y'all just run out though.
He's like, he didn't know who to put out there anymore. I'm not that I was watching the games, but I was watching the highlights. I just want to let y'all know I was not watching them games, but I was watching the highlights and I'm like, who are these guys on this bench? I think I saw one game, some highlights. Was Anthony Monroe playing? Did I see Monroe playing in the playoff game?
He did, and to be honest, I forget what game that was. He brought more when he came. Yeah, it might have been Devin. When he came in, he was giving them a lift. To be honest, I remember that game.
Yeah.
And I think he got a couple of fouls or something like that, and they sat him down. It was like he was the only person that was actually, giving them a little bit of a lift.
It was like you look at the way the Bulls roster is put together, right? You got Isaiah Cannon, who's really, really bad at basketball. Like, okay, this is an aside to this entire conversation, but I was just holding this conversation with my wife before we started the podcast, and she was telling me about how she hates what we're doing, because she feels like we're judging people. Well, if you listen to this podcast, yes, I'm judging Isaiah Cannon. He's really bad at basketball.
Nigga's terrible.
He's not a good basketball player. And who else do we have? We have Michael Carter Williams, who's really bad at basketball. Like both of those guys are better at basketball than we are. But we're not NBA basketball players.
He can go to your local Y and light it up.
As an NBA basketball player, he's not really good at that. He's not like that's his job. Like if he had to do like a resume, he put down NBA basketball player from this year to present. Like he's not really good at doing that. Like putting the ball in the basket. He's terrible at it. Felicio, from what I've seen, he's been terrible for when was the last time Felicio was good?
Before he got hurt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before the All-Star break,
before he got hurt. I forget what his injury even was. They kept him out like a week or two.
That was it, huh?
And then after he came back, he was pretty bad. And then he wasn't getting like consistent playing time when he got back either. Before that, he was getting real decent minutes. And then once he came back from that injury, he just wasn't getting the same kind of time. I don't know if he was still hurt.
He probably wasn't even healthy. He probably wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know if he was still hurt or what, but he was pretty bad after he got back.
Now
I know that.
Go ahead, Devin.
I was gonna say that I know that they have to do whatever they can with Rajon and Robin Lopez because they played so well together in those first two games. So fucking good.
Okay. We're going to start wrapping this up, but one of the things I want to end this with talking about, if you were the Bulls front office, what do you do? because you can't get rid of Dwayne Wade. Obviously, he has an opt-in, and I don't think he's opting out of 24 whatever point whatever $1 million it is that the Bulls are going to have to pay him. So you got Dwayne Wade. You get Rondo because hell, Rondo was your best player in the playoffs before he got hurt. Now
Clearly.
do you re-sign Miritich?
You're
Uh,
asking me if I re-sign Meritage? Are you fucking nuts?
No,
Get
but
his ass on out of here.
okay, but you get rid of Miritich and you have a little bit of money. Like you could sign like a mid-tier basketball player after that, even though you're getting rid of him. I saw somebody say you might be able to sign like a player like Aerosign. What's his name?
is it Urson?
Elias Silva.
Ilyasova. Aerosign Ilyasova. You could get a guy like him. So do you want him or do you want Miritich? Because they really basically the same player.
It's basically the same guy. I think Ilyasova is probably a better he is though.
The better perimeter defender too.
He could draw some charges because he flops. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely flops.
But it's like they're in such a bad spot that they literally can't do anything. The only thing they could do is trade Jimmy and then blow the whole damn thing up. But I don't think they have the guts to do it. Because if you do that,
Danny Age wouldn't fuck that up.
no, the Bulls would have messed that up.
What did they say they were going to give the Bulls?
They were going to give the Bulls that pick, I think some other pick, some other like, some throw-in stuff. But the Bulls wanted Jay Crowder for some odd reason. I don't even like Jay Crowder.
Nope.
Have you ever seen Jay Crowder's face? I don't think he likes himself.
nothing,
I've never once seen him smile.
nothing like.
We taxiing on. I got to go. This is a
That dude
great
look like a
conversation to
tiki
hear,
head.
though.
All right,
Okay.
Devin.
All right, Devin. Devin's
All
up
right,
out of
foolies.
here.
I'll
Safe
be
flight.
coming to y'all live, America, from Baltimore the next time you talk to me.
This guy.
Fly out King, boy.
I'm gonna go see. I'm gonna. See, I'm gonna go try to give you some Washington Wizards loser material.
Okay.
Farewell,
Safe flight.
everybody. Whitlock. Now America knows that you suck. Goodbye.
So what? I mean, Rob. Honestly, really, like, what can they do?
I mean, nothing that's gonna make any sort of a difference. I mean,
So we're right back where we were.
yeah. I mean, they're stuck, man. They are. This whole season has been, this whole past season has been a microcosm of where the Bulls are as an organization,
Hell.
because you decided to make the playoffs. You decided at the end of the year, I'm going to make the playoffs now, and we're going to give this thing a run. And then you came out swinging, and then you fell flat on your face again. So now you're back where you started with the 16th damn pick in the draft, and
And no assets to move up.
none, and you're leaving the 16th pick in the hands of a front office that's consistently proven to you that they have no idea what they're doing.
Of the
They have
Bulls'
no
last 3 draft picks, are any of them on the team? Like the last 3 years?
uh we
I mean, I
know
know
that.
Felicio. They drafted Felicio, right? Or was he under?
I don't know. I know they drafted Zipster.
Zipser. They drafted Zipser. So, but of
And,
the first rounders, none of them are on the team.
no. Who did they draft last year? Oh, no. No. That was this year. Denzel was this
Yeah,
year.
Denzel was
Who
this
who
year.
was who the hell was last year?
It was Denzel. Before Denzel, wasn't it Doug?
No, Doug goes back further than that. This was
It
like
was
Doug's like
third
third
year.
year or so.
So it was Snell, Doug.
Oh yeah, we forgetting Snell.
It was Snell, Doug, and who came? Who was in between them? It was Snell, Doug, whoever that was in between. Then Denzel. 'Cause that's 4 years. Can't remember. But that good. I mean, shit. The fact that we can't remember means that they're not that good.
So it wasn't. Wait, Nico is not somewhere in that, is he?
Now, didn't they draft Nico before because Nico was with Thibs.
Right, right. He got at least 1 year with the Thibs, right?
Nico came over here with Pal. That was his first year. Everybody thought that him and Pal would have such great rapport. The whole
Oh, we
Spain.
forget about Bobby.
Bobby Portis. That's okay. Bobby is still here. By the hair of his chinny chin chin. Bobby Portis is still he's still kicking. And I saw he had a couple, good showing here and there towards the end of the season, and maybe a game in the playoffs where he played.
That one dope game was like game 1, I think.
Game one he played well. Bobby's still kicking around, but I'm looking forward to Bobby not being in the Bulls uniform. He won't be here. He won't be here very long. Bulls first round draft picks don't last very long.
It's funny looking at this list now. Nurkic and Gary Harris is on this list, which is hilarious.
I wish the Bulls could have had either one of those guys. But we got Doug McDermott, who is now an OKC Thunder, languishing on their bench as well.
And I guess we didn't even draft Nico, right? We just signed him, right? Bought him out of whatever contract he was in over there.
Yeah, but I thought they drafted him like like 2 years before he came over here. They're like the 30th pick in the draft or something like that. They drafted him.
No, I don't got him on this list. I don't have him on this list.
We could do
I think he was just bought out. He was already in a contract over there, and they bought him out and brought him over.
I always hate. I hate when I don't get to just like the straight use Google. There's like some weird.
Cameron Bairstow.
Cameron Bairstow. Ugh.
The second round pick, though.
He was drafted in the first round, 2011. The 23rd pick by Houston, and the Bulls got that from them. So Nico was the 23rd pick in the draft in 2011.
This list I'm looking at is looking at ones that were actually made by them.
Yeah, I don't know how they ended up with that. Maybe Houston was picking for us.
Was that was that part of the what's it called deal, or did he just sign there? We didn't trade him over there. He just signed there.
Who?
What was the center that we all thought was dope? At the he had got real dope.
Nah, they poison pilled the Bulls on that one, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, I recall that. I just didn't remember if they had actually made a deal or not.
This is a question for those guys that are really, really nerdy about every aspect of everything.
Every part of the draft. Oh yeah, no, that was a trade that was flipped by so and so.
By like 35 times. Like, man, okay.
The NFL draft had a bunch of those this year. It was like it was picks that had been handed across like 2 or 3 teams. It was like, wait, this pick is by way of New York from New Orleans.
From this team and that team.
Like the GMs are like in this room and they got a bunch of picks in their pockets. And then like one GM's got a bunch of damn picks like in his pockets and they're all falling out. He's like, oh shit, I'll tell you what, I got these extra picks from like the Saints. You want one? It's like, yeah, I'll take it.
Oh, I take that. I'm just looking at Nico's his numbers, like his 3-point shooting. Just even like per 100 possessions. He shoot like his first year was 31%. Then last year he shot damn near 40% from 3. But that was that March Nico run where he just blazing everything. And last year he was 34%, which is another one of those the March Nico years where he's blazing everything up. But man, it just bothers me that we thought coming in that he was going to be so much more than he actually is. Like
I
if
mean,
he could have,
we figured this dude was gonna come in, and we couldn't wait.
we were
We had to
calling him
wait so
Kevin
long.
Love.
We just couldn't wait, man. It felt
We
like it was
finally
like
got our
years.
stretch big. We finally got one, and we don't.
Yeah,
We don't. You know, we're not going to keep you
we
guys
don't.
keep you guys longer on this podcast. We just like lament the Chicago Bulls as the trash that they are. But you guys know where to find us. It's according to sources at gmail.com. If you have questions or generally want to tell us you hate everything about the podcast, A2 Sources on Twitter, according to sources on Facebook. You're part of a really dope podcasting network, the ETMF Podcast Network. You'll hear a nice little jingle at the end of this about the ETMF Podcast Network. Go to iTunes and rate us, Stitcher, I don't know, Google Play, wherever you listen to podcasts, you're going to be able to find this podcast. So go ahead and rate us 5 stars or however you want to rate us. Leave us a nice little note. We like it. We like emails. Send us emails whenever you can, man. I'm I always got the phone in my hand. My wife hates it, but I always got my phone in my hand, trying to answer people on Twitter, trying to answer people on Facebook. So uh,
London, what up?
London, what up? We get one person from London every podcast. They download every single podcast.
And if you're
What's
listening, man,
up?
we need for you to physically contact us so we can know who you are.
We
Just
want to know who you are,
we want to
man.
shout you out and show you some appreciation, man, for rocking with us from way across the pond,
From
man. We
way across the
appreciate it.
pond and from day one, there's one download from London every single podcast. Out of all the hundreds of downloads, it's always one from London. And I think like Germany or something. I can't remember. It was like it's one from London and one from someplace else that I can't remember. But shout out to you guys. Send us an email so we could talk to you. You know, we look forward to that. But that's the end of the podcast, man. We just wanted to get back. It's been a long break. You know, kids and out of school for spring break. We took a break. We back. So for Rob, Devin is on the flight. I'm Dre. This was According to Sources, and we are out.
We're like, you
Peace.
suck.